Welcome to another week, guys. I thank you. I welcome you. This week, we are just going to get it out there. We have another enrollment season coming up. Welcome to the Beauty Expansion Movement. And we're going to talk about healthcare. Are you covered? We're just going to have some candid information that we're going to talk about. And if you have questions, maybe put it in the comment section, share, tag people that you think would be interested. Of course, you guys know that my background has been the beauty industry for the last 22 years, but I do have an extensive background working in corporate America, insurance, taxes. And so, when I speak to the beauty industry, I'm trying to cover a plethora of areas. One area that I am also in is a licensed health agent. And so, being in the beauty industry for the last 22 years, I decided back in 2015 that I wanted to broaden my experience and added life insurance agent to that portfolio. And many of you that have been following me for years watched me as I took on that journey. I posted my license, my excitement. And so here it is 5 years later. And here we are entering into an open enrollment season. And I'm not going to tackle this topic alone. Of course, I do have a guest here today, but I want you to think about a couple of things. One, healthcare is a benefit that you normally think about obtaining while you're working a job, but there are many people that could be in between jobs due to us being in this pandemic. So there are things that are called special enrollment periods. So I want you to think about that. The other thing is that, as an entrepreneur, what type of benefits have you thought about as it pertains to healthcare, dental, vision, and things of those matters, because you need to be able to get back on your feet should a setback such as a medical emergency or situation occur. What are you doing to make sure that you're not out of pocket a lot of money should one of those things occur? So those are going to be some of the things we're going to tackle today. So yeah, make sure that you share this broadcast and we'll bring to you good value. Okay. Well, without further ado, I'm going to bring my friend, my mentor, my business partner, and her name is Dee Porter.
Yes,
Hi, Dee. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I am. Today is a lovely Sunday, so I'm going to enjoy it.
You better know it exactly.
Yeah,
I was just saying the same thing. I said it was so beautiful yesterday. It's almost as you know, if you don't go grab some of that good old fresh air, go
right.
grab that good old walk, go
That's
do
right.
some nature uh calling for yourself and get that self-care, none of this really matters,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I did see you say something about self-care. Okay, right. So
Yeah,
you're right. You're telling them right.
exactly. So, here we are again, another open enrollment, and we
Right.
always pose the question,
Mhm.
are you covered? What does that look like? So I'll start this off by talking about, health insurance is really built to protect you from unexpected and high medical costs.
Right.
Do you believe that customers really believe that? Do they do they put that in the forefront when we talk about health
Right.
coverage?
So, um, yes and no. Yes and no, because as you know, nothing is black and white, right? Of course you do have a small percentage of individuals out here that yes, they believe that you need to be covered. They get the foundation of health coverage. They understand what health coverage gives you before its use, right? But that's a small percentage. That's just being honest. Most individuals, the answer would be no, and it's not until a situation is met, to where now you see that, gosh, I either should have had coverage, should have had enough coverage, or at least should have known more about my coverage, that when it becomes that eye-opening experience and you're like, gosh, I just didn't know. So yes and no, but the majority of us, no, we don't understand what health coverage actually gives us until we need it. And unfortunately, insurance is one of those proactive services that we really just have to be more informed about, because by the time it comes reactive, we're in a situation already.
And I brought that up because I was in a conversation just a few days ago
Mhm.
where there are people that work in corporate America and they work for someone and they
Right.
opt out of even getting the health care coverage. And
Mhm.
so I said, why would, someone
Right.
do that? And I asked that because I really wanted to know, because just coming up in my household, one of the
Right.
things that was I thought was that you go get the fringe benefits of working for a
Right.
company.
Mhm.
Because I'm a multi-income earner, so I've worked
Right.
jobs and I've worked my
Right.
own businesses, but I
Exactly.
wanted to tackle this real quick. And so one of the responses was that people know that it does cost to
It does
have
cost.
your insurance come out of your check, and
Right.
they would rather risk
Mm-hmm.
not paying the insurance out of their check and say, I'm gonna come home with all my money rather
Mm-hmm.
than the insurance. And
Right.
then they're putting not only themselves, but their entire family at risk.
This
Um,
is true.
what would you say, if anything, to that, where we are now? We can only speak to where we are now,
Right.
2020, and
Right.
moving forward, especially with many people opting to grow their own businesses.
Right.
We
Exactly.
have a shift in our mindset.
We
So
do. We do. Okay, so what would I say about that? So you know my story, of course, but when I became an insurance agent, we had those early conversations. It definitely stemmed out of education, and coming from an education background, I guess it just always made sense to want to inform people. And much like the conversation you're talking about, it was always a conversation where people were they either had very strong opinions about saving the money, not really having a need. I'll get it when I need it. But there was no understanding in there. So, where we are now, like you said, moving forward, this year life has just showed us, it's definitely the teacher that we've all grown to know. People always say life will teach you. Well, COVID has showed us you just don't know when a sick day is going to come, and you can't even predict where it's going to come in at. But those conversations, health insurance, the financial piece, it is always going to be upside down. And I think that when we can see where money is going. So I'm getting paid each year. If you work, like you use the example in a corporate location, you go in, you talk to someone for 5, maybe 15 minutes. I used to say 5 to 10. You may get 15 minutes with the
mhm,
benefits specialist, right? And in that 15 minutes, you have so much thrown at you. And for a lot of people, what you see is the dollar amount going out of your pay for something that you really don't understand. It's just not enough of time to for it to make sense. I'm going to lose X amount of dollars to get what? Right. And so
yep.
even that fear right there alone is enough to make some people want to pass at it. But here's the thing, in short, the insurance company, I said, this is an upside down relationship. Most of the time you think, well, I'm
Right.
losing this. What are they giving me? What they will potentially give you is saving your life, saving the quality of your life. And most of us, shy of Oprah and a couple of other people, right, will never pay or have it to pay as much as the insurance company can potentially pay. So they are taking on the greater risk, but we do have our responsibility, and that is through the payment. But it is upside down, but not upside down to where we are the ones that are losing. The insurance company is truly taking the larger risk. And what are they gambling on? They're gambling that they're going to get people that aren't sick, that they can at least get some premium out of us to justify, should I get in a bad accident tomorrow? Should I, heaven forbid, end up with some chronic or critical illness that I didn't foresee, that they can get some premium, but should that happen, they are still obligated to have to pay. And you just have to look at the quality of your life and understand, wow, do I pay or do I take a risk on the quality of my life? But that comes again with a little bit of understanding. And Shanae, truthfully so, it's hard to get that kind of comfort in 10 to 15 minutes. So some people, they do opt out. And especially now with insurance is changing so much, we have more that we have to put in initially in some cases before they pay out. And it causes people to question.
It really does. But I'll give this statistic. About 44 million people in this country have no health insurance.
Right.
Another 38 million have inadequate health insurance. And so part of the reason why I even got involved in this was when I was laid off from corporate America, still in the beauty industry, but I was working at corporate America as well.
Right.
And I was left without any insurance. And so before affordable health care came into law, I was met with having to have skeletal insurance. But I always was taught in my head to make sure to lower the risk by having insurance. And so just grew up understanding that insurance was to have it when you need it than to not have it and need it. And then you cause yourself a financial burden. And so to still be an advocate for that is really the truth as to why we're having this conversation. And it's by all means, we're not here to change anyone's mind, but we're trying to impart information and knowledge. Because one of the other important things is that if you ever listen to the news, these topics are up for debate.
They're political. They are very political. And with that being said, it does pay to really to do some homework because they're so political. Because here's the thing, like you mentioned, go back to your example. We have people that they make a decision based off of their finances. You have to consider that, right? Same thing. The political side of it, it is feeding off emotions. We may make a decision to opt out of insurance, but we know it's still valuable, right? So it is in that conversation piece when we look at, we hear it on the news, we look at the politicians discuss it, all that is fine. But we definitely need to be just a little more tuned in to see how it really works in our household, our needs, because, once they make a decision, that's the very same thing that we do get very emotional about.
Maybe taken away.
It may be taken away, possibly taken away or changed. I don't think that they're going to take health coverage away at this point, but they can change it. They can change it. So it pays to know more than just what we see and hear on the surface. Get a little bit more involved. It's almost like rock the vote, right? So behind the vote, know what we're voting for. And health coverage is such a huge political debate, and we just jump online a little bit and read up on it, because you'd be surprised what all the details entail.
And that's very key. I will say, without health insurance coverage, a serious accident or a health issue that results in an emergency care and or an expensive treatment plan can result in poor credit or even bankruptcy. And I bring that up because you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, I have represented doing credit restoration and things of that nature. And some of the questions that come up deal with medical bills.
Right.
And so, again, that's on the end where it's too late, where there could have been that percentage of inadequate health coverage and no health coverage at all. And so there you're on the end, you're trying to get your credit cleaned up, because on the proactive end, there was no proactive measures put in place. And it could have been because of lack of knowledge. You just didn't know, or you, again, chose not to. Either way, that's why we're having this conversation, because what I'm asking that we do as a community is let's give our kids a fair shake at what it looks like to be an adult. Again, the choices that we make as adults, we go through what we go through, but there's a new era that's happening and some of
Right.
the things that we go through, we can lessen that experience
That's right.
by figuring this thing out and giving them a fair shake and explaining it to them. Again,
That's right.
I was always taught insurance was important and what it was for.
It is very important.
And so it cuts down my risk when it comes to money, right? And it all boils down like to financial literacy. So again,
Mhm.
this conversation comes up because um, we all are living. And so as long as you're living, you may at some point have to visit the doctor. Who's going to pay for that?
You will have to visit the doctor at some point. And doing this, this is my everyday 24-hour a day. So I can use my son as an example, right? This just happened very recently, and I'm going to be very transparent here. I would have stories in the past very similar to this, but this just occurred in my own household within the last 60 days. My son had an issue with his leg, right? And he had to go in and have immediate surgery. He was rushed out of here. He had to have surgery, okay? I was not with him when the incident occurred. And he did not have his insurance card. He's in those teen years to where, they just don't have everything. I work a lot. I think I was out of town coming in. So when they took him, he didn't have his insurance card with him. And today is Sunday, so it's okay for me to say this is the honest to God true story, right? I can
Right.
swear on this. This happened. Me, the insurance lady, this happened to my son in my own household. So he had to go into surgery, right? So I'm on the phone and he had to go into surgery. Everything is so restricted that I could barely get any information. Well, make a long story short, that happened, I want to say August the 15th. Please turn the light back on. Yeah. That happened August the 15th. And he just had surgery again a week ago. Here's why. Here's why now. Someone may argue the point, but because I've seen this so much, I'm pretty sure this is what took place. He did not have his insurance card with him. They did have to treat him because he did have what can be considered a life-threatening, wound. But it did not, it didn't have to be the best level of care, right? And it was not the best level of care. When I showed up the next day, I put his insurance card on file. It got lost in the shuffle because by this time, the patient service rep is normally the one that comes around. They key things in if they didn't get it from you right away. So it's just in the file. The nurse, she took it and she said, I'll make sure they get it. And she put it in the file. I saw her, but they still didn't get it, right? So all the care had been so lackadaisical, it was not even funny. I may have butchered that word, but I will. Okay, a month later, he was not doing well. He was having issues with his knee. It looked like it was, bandaged up real nice, but it was not. At this point, now the insurance is on file, right? I made sure that it was on file. I made sure that everyone knew that he had coverage. Do you know when he got out of that second surgery, everything from the casting to the level of care has been different. Now, this is my own personal story, right? I have many stories that come to me like this. I have people that don't have insurance, Sinead. I'm pretty sure you have experienced this. They don't have coverage, and when they come, they're looking for coverage at the point that something has happened. I've had people who had broken bones from their elbow all the way down to their knee, and they went into the emergency room. And if it was not life threatening, then they don't treat the same way that they used to have to treat. They literally at this point make sure that you're okay. It's not life threatening. And they send you and tell you that you need to follow up with your primary care. So this is why it is so important that we are proactive and not reactive, because many times when we're reactive, something has already occurred and it's just too late, especially if we're outside of what you're getting ready to be talking about here in a moment, the open enrollment period. If you have to go into something private and you wait not to be properly covered, it could be the very thing that you are seeking coverage for that you may not be able to get coverage for until you eliminate some periods of either 1 to 2 years. So I'll leave
And
that
see,
there.
and that's really good because see, this is part of the reason, and you can hit on it, that finding an agent that could take the time to peel back and answer those questions.
Right.
You know, going live like this and letting people know, what I'm doing,
Right.
what's available in the community, what you're doing is why it's important for people to stay plugged in and connected,
That's
because
true.
that's how you get questions answered. That was a prime example.
Oh, it was. And one that happened, we're all subject to it for something like this to happen. You know, it's almost like the doctor kid getting sick. Thank God the doctor knows what to do. The insurance lady kid got sick. Thank God I knew how to go in and put the pieces together. But in so many households, you don't know. And so, like you said, hey, in so many cases, people don't know. And
Exactly.
yeah, we're kind of losing some reception there. But like you said, to be able to speak with someone live, I definitely commend you on what you're doing with your audience. Because having a person that you really can connect with, you build a relationship with, and you want to build a relationship with your agent, because calling into, and this is not a knock on the call centers, but they can't establish that relationship in the same way, because everything with them has to be so black and white. So when you have those situations, they can't just break it down and say, you know what, let me walk you through this in the way that you can on the relationship building part with your local agent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, like you said, we're going to discuss very quickly what's happening coming up
Okay.
November 1st.
Right.
Is open enrollment for affordable health care, and it runs until December 15th. And this is the
Janelle,
time. Can you hear me?
I can. I was just getting ready to type something in there. I can now. Not now.
Okay.
Okay. We're back on.
Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
I can now.
All right.
Mhm.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I
Just
apologize.
life.
So I just wanted to get where we are at the end of September, and we're moving into open enrollment. It feels like it's kind of dragging a little bit. Let me see something.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. So we're moving into open enrollment November 1st.
Right.
You have a couple of people here to ask questions of, and I just want to make sure that there's enough time that you ask, because you don't want to wait until the very end to ask questions when you can start preparing. Another thing that I noticed during open enrollment is that people forget that it's not just about healthcare, it's about your dental care, it's about your vision care. And a lot of people may have dental work that they need done.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's waiting periods depending on the type of dental work that you want done. So you want to go ahead and start thinking about what are some of the things that you need done, so you can go ahead and prepare for enrolling in these benefits. These are what we deem as benefits for you.
Right.
It's the benefits for you working so hard and taking care of yourself. And so I use the word self-care. This is
Mm-hmm.
a part of it. This is a
Correct.
part of the self-care that you owe yourself, that you owe your family, that you owe
Financial
your
care too, Shanae. Self care and financial care. I was listening to a financial planner on yesterday, and one of the things that he said, and I've heard this before, he said healthcare, he used a function graph, right? And so he had, what people need to, I guess, accumulate. I want to make sure I'm saying it right, in wealth, to really be able to self fund themselves. And he showed how that graph swings back and forth. So for when you have it, and how quickly, right, your whole life can be upside down when something traumatic happens inside of your health or with your health, and you don't have proper coverage. Health cost, it really does. So self-care, that's just taking care of yourself. That's just having a plan that you can go in annually to make sure that at least at the baseline, your health is okay. Thank God, like you, I've always believed in healthcare. I have been a diabetic now for 8 years. I was feeling fine at the moment when I found out. I didn't know I was a diabetic. I didn't have an episode. I didn't pass out. I went to have my annual physical. And when my doctor called me and said, I need you to come back in, it wasn't because I was feeling bad. So thank goodness. And for me, it was just a preventative service that I went to get. But so many people, because they don't have health coverage, either because they don't know how to access, how to get it, they don't know when it's time to enroll in it, that when they find out situations, it's on a sick day, right? And if that sick day is met when you're not covered, then it's so upside down with your finances at that point. So I like to think that to be proactive, to find out, what it's going to cost you and work on that. So that way, if a sick day comes, you're not really upside down trying to get medication, trying to get the supports that you need so that you can feel better. And then financially, you're in a mess that you just can't get out of because now you're sick and you still need money. And you got to weigh it now between your
That
health
is true.
and your wealth.
This is true. This is so true. And so, with what you said, is such a key component, and it's making it so that when I start talking to people about business,
Right.
I'm at a place where the development of my coaching program that I'm working on will
Right.
have the mindset component,
Right.
because all of this, when you're in business, successfully in business, especially when you branch out on your own, this is not a component that is not something that you keep off the table.
No.
You have to make sure that you have your health insurance talked about, your life insurance talked about,
Right.
your your legal. Now I'm going to be talking about making sure you have legal coverage for your business. You understand how to protect it
Right.
with the business entities. Like,
Right.
that's from the business side. And a lot of people have, if this pandemic in a whole doesn't teach us about being unprotected from so many areas and us just living day to day as if nothing will
Right.
ever happen to us. And
Right.
it's just now when we head into 2021, just the protections and the things that we need to have in place is why I will forever to continue to have these conversations with people, because maybe one or two people will catch it, and those one or two people will tell someone, and together
Yeah.
we'll end
They
up
will.
changing our communities and adding this to our families and so on and so forth. But again, open enrollment, November 1st through December 15th. You will hear me speak more and more about that. Again, I'm a local agent here, and I will. Miss D, will you come back?
I'm always here for you.
If you're busy, you might be out there writing business. I do. This is the stream of my income and a stream of my
Right.
business. You do this full time. This is what you do, and it's been a pleasure just being connected with you.
Right.
Any last words?
No, I was going to ask you, do you have anything last? I know I kind of went off on a tangent. I can do that, but I want to make sure that I'm addressing the questions that you had for your audience. I just want to make sure of that. So, the main thing is that, like you said, open enrollment begins November the 1st through December the 15th. Shanae, for the last, I think we're going into year 3 now, right? 3 or 4. When it changed, the dates changed. So affordable healthcare used to run through into the new year. So, if you missed the December the 15th cutoff, then no big deal. You had your next wave and your coverage would start February the 1st if you enrolled after that. That's gone. But believe it or not, the news is just not out there still, and people don't know that. You have
Yep.
now, people increasingly are knowing, but overall, I each year this has happened. Me and you've discussed this. After December the 15th, on December the 16th, someone calls and they are looking to get enrolled in the health coverage, and we just cannot stress enough the dates. It is so important, guys. Look, I've written people plans, all walks of life, literally all walks of life, 6 figure, 7 figure, 2 figures, 3 figures, whatever, right? It is not a income, based on your income welfare program, affordable health care. And there are many other types of health coverage too, but right now we're just talking about affordable health care. So it doesn't matter, who you are. Here's what I do know, what I have seen. I've seen people who thought that they didn't need it, they didn't like it, and they were against it. And they tried some other things and they found that this right here is what really works for them. Then there are some individuals where there is a better product, okay. But do not let the time frame pass you by for one reason or the other. At least make contact with a professional agent. If you are in Shanae's circle, make contact with her and let her help you, and let the professional agent say, okay, based on what you're saying here, based on your needs, then this product works for you. Let me get you some quotes. Let's see if we can move you along. Or maybe we have another product for you. Okay. And this is the time that you can enroll into that. But just don't sit home and don't sit on it. Don't sit on it. We've seen too many situations where people sat on it, and most of the time it's not because they just didn't want to. They didn't know what to do one way or the other, so they just thought they had some more time. And more time, you all know, is just something that we just don't have. We just don't have it. So we have to take action when the time is in. And we are in season for healthcare. And let me say this right here. Shanae and I, we've been in this thing for a long time. We're seasoned agents. And we hung in here when other people was ready to drop affordable healthcare, right? Let me tell you all something, and this is a little bit of information that I don't know if you're going to find it anywhere else. So let me share this with you. Affordable healthcare came in. People, they rushed to it. They liked it, those that it worked for. And then, of course, you had people that didn't like it. And it created, this kind of shift where it was, we didn't know we were going to have it, right? Some politicians started to pull back on it. And when they pulled back on it, and when carriers left the market, a lot of agents left the market too. We did not leave the market. We did not leave the community. We did not leave our people, because we wanted to make sure that whether we've made a dollar, a dime, or a quarter, that if individuals needed health care, that we were going to be here on the ground with you all to make sure that you had agents that you could call and talk to. It was so much confusion during those years. People calling into the national headquarters, and they were just so frustrated and they didn't know what to do, and so many things were taking place. People didn't feel comfortable, so they lost confidence. But you still had that core set of agents that was here and have been here. Well, let me tell you what's happening now. So they realized that, wait a minute, affordable health care, it really
Yep.
is something good. It really does do what it says it was going to do. Now, what's perfect? I don't know what's perfect out here. But to me and to Shanae, it is a hell of a good product. It really is. And we'll break it down later on what you get with affordable health care versus other things, okay? But I tell you, if you're in the hospital with a stroke, if you have a heart attack, if you had a bad accident, if you're sitting under with, fighting cancer, you're not going to have a problem with your affordable health care. You may fuss and say, I have to go to this doctor, not that doctor, but you won't have a problem with your bills getting paid, and you will not have a problem getting the level of care that you need. It will save your life. So we have been here the whole time, but now, since it's stable and out, you have millions of agents now and corporations running back into it, some for just the dollar. not discredit. Hey, we got to work. We do work. We get paid for what we do, but we also are very, it's very personal for us. Not only do we help write you into a plan that's a good fit for you, but we also become your lifelong agent. So when you do have a problem or a question or a concern, you know who to go back to, and that your agent. So it matters. And that's it, Shanae.
Thank you, Miss
That's
D.
all I have to say.
Yeah, that was good.
That's
I was just sharing that story with someone. Like it's been some years now, and
right.
I just telling my story how the companies pulled out, and I was left like, oh
Pulled
my
out.
goodness, and how I stuck and I stayed and I stayed and I
Stayed in it.
stayed, and now turning back around, and I'm grateful that you stayed as well. So it's like, we're here for the people because affordable health care, it worked for me. I used it.
Right.
I had it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was something I personally used. And
Hmm.
so I can attest to it. I can tell my personal story, what I've used and everything. And so thank you. That's
Yeah.
it. So
That's it.
the last thing I would say is just, we'll have another conversation, and you guys know how to reach me. You can go to ShanaeStarnes.com. You can inbox me here on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Shanae Starnes, and I am here, and I can explain to you what I offer, what carriers are out there, and be of help to you. But again, I want to say thank you. Ms. D, if you could stand by for just a moment, okay?
All right. I'm here.
All right, stand by. All right. Listen, thank you all for standing by. I appreciate you sticking and staying with me for another edition of the Beauty Expansion Movement. This movement is more than the beauty industry. Like every person uh, that is connected to what's happening knows someone that needs the information that is being shared week after week. And again, this is the place where I want to make sure that I bring on professionals. I share my professional information with you all so that as a community we can get more informed, better with what we know and what we don't know, we can get to know and begin to grow and be better than what we were yesterday. And not only that we be better than what we were yesterday, but that we pass this on to our families. We got a generation of people behind us that just need to do better. What is the saying? When you know better, you do better. Well, that's not just for us. That's for the people behind us as well. Because again, we stand on the shoulders of those that did it before us. And I don't take that lightly. I don't take that for granted. I have one thing, and I'll let you go, guys. I just spoke with my grandmother today, 83 years old. We were talking about voting, and she says, Shanae, ever since I was able to vote, I've been voting. And I said, yeah, Grandma, I remember watching you and Granddad put your clothes on and go out and cast your vote. And I've been doing it. And I've taught my kids to do the same thing. And I said, I stand on your shoulders and those before me. And she said, well, this year is just a little different. She said, I don't know if I'm going to mail my vote in or, you know, and I say, Grandma, whatever way you do it. But what I can tell you is that she ain't going to let this year be an excuse for her not to do it. I don't care where you stand on that issue. But what I'm saying to you is that we standing on each other's shoulders. And what you contribute in your expertise, don't be afraid to share it with the world and let others know what you got going on so that we can be a part of the new movement and tomorrow's people. Love you guys. Take care. And I will see you next time. Bye.